This is for my August collection of my snail mail club. It is very special to me. I was living in an older home that was converted into apartments. So they were all studios. So after I graduated college, I moved back home for about 3 months and then I got a job and moved to downtown Denver. I was working for 9 News at the time, and I specifically wanted to live in a historic home. This was right after COVID, or it was like right in the middle of COVID because I graduated college in 2020 and then I got the job in August or September of 2020. So it was in the middle of COVID. So I worked from home and I lived alone. It was a small studio. It was around 300 square feet, so it was really small, but it was perfect. It was just me and my cat Georgie at the time, and I absolutely loved my time there. I lived there for 1 year. It was such a cool experience to live there. I did a lot of things in there. I got to decorate my studio the way that I wanted. I'm a big natural light person, so I loved that this unit had windows in the front and in the back of the studio. So I was on the first floor and I was more towards the back of the house. Almost, it was right next to what you would consider the back door of a house. I had windows all along the back and I had some windows up at the front too. My cat loves windows too, and he would lay in the window closest to the kitchen because that's where I would work. I had my little setup there in the kitchen. I didn't want a desk because I just put a little folding chair and there was a good, perfect space. It would have been nice if the counter had like a lip. I think that would have been really cool. But I mean, overall, I loved it. I loved working in the kitchen. It felt like it was like its own room in there. It was a really small space, but I loved living there so much. When I first went to go see it, I fell in love with the exterior, of course, and then I fell in love with the interior as well because they had recently redone all of the units that were in there. I believe there were around 13 units. So there was an upstairs and a downstairs, and the staircase was gorgeous. And there was access to the rooftop too. So I would go up there and have lunch or dinner with some friends, and sometimes we would play board games up there too. It had an overview of some of the city. I guess you could see some of the buildings and stuff, which was really cool. But I was in a historic part of town, which was called Five Points, or also known as the Rhino District. So there's a lot of things to do out there, and it was an artsy spot. And I am a very creative person, and in this studio, I'm not sure why, I'm a person that likes to document life, but I spent a lot of time doing photo shoots there. I would just dress up in fun outfits. I think because of COVID, there was nothing else to do. So I would dress up in outfits, or I would set up different spots in my studio and take pictures with my cat. I just had a lot of fun doing all of these fun, different creative photo shoots. It was just a way for me to express myself and have fun and also feel really good about myself. So I had a lot of fun doing those photo shoots. And now looking back, I'm thinking, wow, I don't really take as many pictures of myself as much. I don't think it was me being conceited because I didn't feel that at the time. I think it was just a way of me expressing myself and being creative. Another thing that I like to do was I like to rearrange my studio all the time, and I was always messing around with things that I could put in there. I fell in love with cow rugs, so right before I had moved into the studio, I was staying at a friend's house who lived in downtown Denver. She was older, so I would consider her a mentor, but she had just an incredible townhome, not too far actually from where my studio was at. She lived in this gorgeous townhome. The way that she had it decorated was incredible. There were so many stories behind the things that she had in her townhome. I was just inspired by a lot of it. One of the things that I was inspired by was her cow rug. I really wanted the black and white cow rug. I went to IKEA and I tried to buy the same one, but they didn't have it, so I settled for a gray one that was just, it didn't have the fur, it was just leather, I guess. And I still have it but my cat has thrown up on it a few times, so I need to figure out how to clean it. And honestly, I don't know where to put it in my space now that I'm living in Florida. I feel like after I moved from Colorado to Florida, I have all of these things and outfits too that are more Colorado vibe than it is Florida. So I'm still trying to figure out what to do with that stuff. And then I got some sheepskin also from IKEA that I put in my studio, and my cat loved to take naps on the sheepskin. My mom had this beautiful antique bench that was the perfect size for my studio, and I don't think I brought it in until later on, but after I brought it in there, I felt like it just was a gorgeous piece in there, and it flowed really nicely. Now looking back, I think there was a few other ways I could have probably set up my room, and I really wish I would have done that, but at the time I was thinking I didn't think it would flow right. So majority of the time I kept my bed off to the side of the wall, so as soon as you would walk in, the bed was right there to the left, and it was either parallel or perpendicular to the wall. Majority of the time I had it parallel to the wall, but there were so many other ways that I think I could have done that. Now that I'm on Instagram a lot and I see how people design their spaces that are smaller, I wish I would have done more, but I think for the most part, I really was able to create a very beautiful space, and a space that was creative and really connected to who I was as a person. The way that I decorate my house and my space is a way that I like to express myself. And I'm a person that likes to rearrange all the time, and my husband doesn't really like it, but it's just something that I like to do. And this was a really special space for me. I lived here alone. I was able to work through some anxiety, and it was actually a goal of mine to live in this space alone, because I knew that I'm a very anxious person. So I knew that was only going to get stronger if I forced myself to live alone and work through these things and just really focus on myself and create a space for myself, not only physically but also mentally as well. And I think that this space did exactly that. At the time it was 2021, so I believe I was 22 and 23. Yes, I was 22 when I moved in. Then I turned 23. And then after that year, because I moved in October, and then in July, that's when I bought my townhome. So I was there for a little bit less than a year, but I was kind of in both spaces at the time because I was slowly starting to move in to my townhome, which was not that big either. So I went from 300 square feet to 508 square feet. But I think small spaces are so special, especially if you live alone. And I was lucky to be able to live on my own for about 2 years until I got married. And it was such a special time, and I'm very thankful for that time because I felt like it was a time of growth. It was a time of creativeness and exploration. And I'm very thankful for that time. This space is really special to me. It was number one, the exact apartment that I wanted, which was a historic apartment. I didn't want to live in anything that was new because they had a lot of new development apartments. The newer apartments had a lot more amenities, and for the price that I was paying, I think I was paying around $1,300 for a 300 square foot townhome. Or I'm sorry, I was paying $1,300 for a 300 square foot studio in Denver, and I think at the time I probably could have gotten something better that was much newer and had more amenities, but I was very set on living in something historic. I love historic homes. Another thing that I liked to do was with all of the sunlight that I had a bunch of plants in there. And so for this specific snail mail, I am going to put in a paint sample of the color green that is going to resemble the plants that I had in my studio at the time. With all of my plants, it just really made my space feel very fresh. And I think being in a city with all of the buildings and the cars, it can feel a little bit congested. So I think adding those plants and having those windows and the light really just made it feel more alive and fresh and just really good. My mom bought me this beautiful paper chandelier from IKEA as well. That was like my favorite thing in there. It was definitely way too big for my space, but I think because the ceilings were a little bit higher, it was okay. I just remember that thing being just so big in there. It's like this huge snowball. I still have it, and hopefully one of these days I'm able to put it into one of my other properties. My friend installed it for me, but I had to put all the paper, like each flower, it was like a little flower. They were all paper flowers, and they clicked on to these pieces. So it was like a big puzzle basically. And so I had to click every single flower on this chandelier, and it took me forever, but it was such a gorgeous chandelier. And then when I removed it, I had to remove all of them at the same time. But it was something really special in there. I'm a very big chandelier person. I have always wanted to have a house with a chandelier in it. My townhome now actually has a gorgeous chandelier that I got from one of my buyers who didn't want their chandelier. Crazy to me. She didn't want it, and so she gave it to me. And so that's one of the pieces that I have in my house right now that my husband installed for me. So it is gorgeous. I can't believe she didn't want it. I don't know how could you buy a house and then not like this gorgeous chandelier? Now I have it. So now I've got a paper chandelier and a real chandelier. My mom has always had some type of chandelier in the house, and I think that's where I get it from. So like I said, everything in your space always has some type of story. My cow rug was inspired by my friend who had a cow rug, and she was single and lived alone, and that's what inspired me, because I was like, wow, I felt really empowered to see her space and all of the cool things that she has, all of the things that she had accomplished, and that was very motivating and inspiring to me, because I thought, I want to be like that. I want to create a space for myself, and I want to have really cool things and stories behind the things that I have in my home. And my mom is also one of those people who, she's got a story behind everything. And so I think that's where I get it from. I had a dress hanging up on my closet, or like next to my closet, and that dress was given to me by a family friend who knows that I like dresses, and it was just a gorgeous piece. I think I just put it there because I needed somewhere to put it. I thought it was pretty, so I had put it there. If you are interested in signing up for my snail mail club, my website just went live, so I will add it in the description and in my bio. I gotta figure out how to do that. But this is my August collection of my snail mail, and it is really special to me, and I hope you find it special too, with the things that I'm going to be putting in the snail mail. They're all going to be connected to how I lived in this space, and so their little bits and pieces are going to be inspired by things that were in there. Like I said earlier, the color green is going to go with all of the plants that I had in my studio and how it made it bright and just happy in there for me. So I look forward to sending that out.